invention that they have two checkpoints now. A checkpoint for Palestinians who walk through, and checkpoint for Palestinians who drive nice cars. And the ones who drive nice cars, basically, they must be the rich, the ones who don't have a problem with the occupation. That's what try to divide the Palestinians to two groups. So if you drive a nice car, and I seen this last week with a woman, I think from RT, she went with a Palestinian gentleman who drove a car. The checkpoint you're allowed to go through. And he was saying, this is not a security issue. If they're claiming a security, we went through, nobody asked us to stop. Yet those who, poor Palestinians who had to walk to the next city to their jobs, have to be indoor suffering daily. If you see the cages where they have to go through between Ramallah and West Bank, exactly the way we treat cows in this country. If you go to the farm, and you see the cages, how the cat controlled, the cows controlled from one area to another area. That's the way, plus the language and the racist remarks. You hear the soldiers, I'm sure if you go on YouTube and hear the soldiers calling the Arabs dirty, stinky, rats and all these languages. And obviously, sadly, they're allowed to get away with that. Now, the 600 checkpoint is daily. There is also, God knows how many checkpoints, which could happen any second. But the checkpoint is started by a jeep driving around and obviously having a chat. Well, let's give this dirty Arabs hard time. So they stop there and they start blocking the road and checking people out. And if you have to travel from some areas in the evening, you have limited time. There's areas in Jenin with a massive gates. So they're creating gators to the Palestinians. And if you're late, then you have to go to sleep somewhere else. You basically had to open a gate for you. Soldiers standing there, and you have if you actually come in time, then you're allowed to go in. If not, you have to go find a friend or neighbor or next door, city, village, to spend the night. And I'm just saying this, thinking of Wafa, who have no electricity, right? And we said to her, we're going to have you showing, talking to us about 3 o'clock. She had somebody who's lost a family member in Deir Yassin. And as you see now, we passed the time. And we're lucky enough that she managed to talk to us. We was going to show Adam the commentary about Deir Yassin, and then we have her after that. And this is what's happening in the West Bank, which is, I believe, is not going to help in the long run any settlement between the Palestinians and the Israelis. They're creating more hatred. Children who wake up every morning and have to be attacked. The children get arrested, under 12, interrogated and beaten. Now imagine if this happened here. We'll be shouting and loud, saying, oh, human right, Geneva Convention, right of children to free movement, schools, good health. But we are watching this, our government, not us obviously, are watching this atrocities against children. 5 years old could be interrogated by the soldier. I've never heard of this. But it's all actually, funny enough, it's all on YouTube. And that also to do with a lot of people like yourself, even some obviously minority Jewish citizens who are actually not happy to see every day. They don't understand why a child could be arrested by an adult. If police arrest my child here, my child had a right to have an adult with him. They have no right to have an adult. They nick your child, snatch him from the street, suspect him with throwing a stone. They come midnight actually and waking up kids from bed and taking them to interrogation, midnight, 4 o'clock in the morning. And when the parents try to debate and talk to the soldiers, they get beaten up in front of their children. Yet, the only thing you hear in this country, our government, oh, the human rights in Syria. Lucky Syrians, they are human, you know. Palestine is not a human. The whole focus, if you notice, is Syria, now it's Ukraine. You know, it's a big political game. A human right in Ukraine, a human right in Syria. Yes, I do think a human right should be preserved in anywhere in the world, but why is pick and choose? Palestine has been suffering for nearly 67 years old, 63 years, you know, where Palestinians enduring the same suffering. They've been negotiating for 30 years, and the result of negotiation losing more land, more settlements. Government of Israel not interested in achieving peaceful settlement. It's, you know, might is right. And the reason I'm saying that because it just reminds you of how the Gazans, for example, Gaza is a big concentration camp. And it's a shame that they had to behave like this. And if you look back at the history, which is, we always said, shouldn't be repeated, how the Jews was suffered. Was the Nazis sitting outside the camps and deciding what kind of food should go to the camp today. And there is a committee outside Gaza deciding what United Nations should take to Gaza. What kind of food today, what kind of food next week. You know, and I was just feeling that why we had to look at the situation this way, where the Gazans had no medicine, no clean water, no any facilities. Yet the same people who shout loud every day, the human rights in Syria and the international so-called human rights organizations, they're not doing anything about it. They shouldn't be looking to collect money and sending rubbish to your door. They should be campaigning outside the parliament. Should have tents there saying, what about the children in Palestine? What about food? What about medicine? You know, Palestinians can't go anywhere from Gaza. And if you're lucky, if you get a permission to leave Gaza to a hospital in Jerusalem, they'll be interrogated at the border and asked, if you're going to go to the hospital, you need to work with us. This is against the international law. And if you refuse, you're sent back to Gaza. So basically, if you are going to be spy and help us against Hamas, then you're welcome to go through. And he said, no, I want to go to be treated. I'm not interested in this game. He'll be sent back. So the rate of cancer is scary in Gaza. Years ago, people never heard of cancer in Gaza and other diseases, especially after the invasion by the Israelis in 2008, 2009, with the use of the white phosphoric, and the destruction of nearly thirds of Gaza homes, and thousands of injured, and 1,500 children and women and old men being killed. So today I know it is long way ago, it's 1948. Adam is my son, which is somehow he show interest in a lot of kids his age. He show interest in football and other things. But somehow Adam was interested to do a documentary. He done one before about Nakba. And we showed it here last time. And now he had one about Deir Yassin, the 9th of April 1948. And you have to remember one thing, the biggest insult after the massacre itself, that the Israelis built a memorial for the survivors of the Holocaust. And how you can massacre people and still have a memorial for the victims of the Nazis. And this is the most insult to the Jews who actually lost families in the concentration camps. I don't think they wanted you to commemorate their memory in a place where you massacred women and children like them. I don't think so. But my view is that Israel do not speak in behalf of the Jews. Israel actually demonizing the name Jews. A lot of people innocently don't understand the difference between the Zionist mentality, Zionist theory, and the Jews. So when they said, oh, people killing this Palestinian Jewish killing this, Jewish killing that, and on the other hand, Muslims doing this, is not the case. That Muslims and Jews lived before 1948, before 1917, Balfour Declaration, lived neighbors, friends. There were a lot of Palestinian Jews who lived they still actually in a city called Nablus. There's 3,000 Palestinian Jews, who they call the Samarais. They're still in Palestine, in Nablus. They speak Arabic, they go to Arabic school. That's a good example that there was no problem between Jewish and Palestinians, Jewish and Muslims. The fact that the Zionist is a racist political theory which divides the Palestinians, themselves, include Palestinians, Christians, Muslims, Jews. The first Intifada, 1987, in Gaza, I remember I worked as a cameraman for ABC, and I remember when they used to arrest a Christian Palestinian, they used to release them. The priest used to go to the police station and that young man would get released. Because you're good Palestinians, you're Christian, you're not barbaric Muslims, the Muslim Palestinians. See, the idea of trying to ethnic dividing the Palestinians themselves. They didn't understand the Palestinians are Palestinians. I seen this happen in 87. Until they killed the first Palestinian Christian young man, I believe his name is Kader Ayad. Things have changed. You couldn't play the same dirty game. The same way we were actually looking at the Muslims and Christian Palestinians differently. This became one front. It's not two fronts. So I hope with Wafa Al-Udaini, she'll be talking to us also about here. She's from Khan Yunis, where she was speaking about the invasion of Khan Yunis 1956, where a lot of her neighbors got killed. In fact, slaughtered by knife by the Israeli army. And then you can have a person who's lost a member of his family in Deir Yassin. He'll be speaking about tell us the story of his family and Deir Yassin. And after that, we'll have Adam documentary, and maybe we'll have after that half an hour to discuss and ask questions. It's very important people engage and talk and ask questions and contribute. I don't like the fact that people can go to a lot of places and lecture to by somebody who claims to be an expert in Middle East, and people listen there and say, oh, thank you very much, and walk away. You're the expert, you go everywhere and you listen to all the stories, so you'll be able to challenge and ask questions, and we'll learn from you. That's the important thing, that we'll learn from you. The wonderful performance you have just now, the songs, especially the one I heard about, Darwish. Yeah, when he said, I have a friend in Nicaragua, Angola. Yeah, because you gave me this last time, and I've been reading. I've been preparing for my exams today, so. Because I like your songs, and I like the boycott one. Last time you told me about your boycott activity. The boycott is very important. If you told somebody 20 years ago you're going to have a boycott, then people will laugh at you. They say, what are you talking about? It can't, no, it never will happen. It's happening. And it's very effective to the fact that Netanyahu had a speech about it. He's angry about it. Why Netanyahu interested in fighting boycott? Because you're bothering him. He knows, and that's not a power of. I remember in '87, I was picked up by the army and taken to Gaza jail. Got an office there for the military, and I had my press ID for American TV, and I met this guy with a high ranking, with about 20 officers sitting there. And he said, "What you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm a cameraman. I'm a non-violent. I don't carry a gun." And he slapped the table. And he said, just slammed the table, and he said, "This is the problem. Go." When I was very young, I asked one of my older friends, "Well, what do you mean, this is the problem?" He said, "Because he wanted to carry a gun, he can shoot you." He can't shoot you carrying a camera. And this is what you're doing, actually. You're not only carrying a camera, you're actually fighting and struggling for the Palestinians and other nations. If it's Ireland, if it's Africa, just by standing there and challenge. And your boycott is very, very important. If you look at the American universities now, they're coming with laws. You can't really accept student, academic boycott. It's really not important. You think they'll bother. Federal government in California arresting and trying 3 young students just for academic boycott. Israel having a problem in the United States about how to contain the boycott. And it's here too. So I think we're really very thankful. And those Palestinians who in Gaza and West Bank, they know, and that's more than enough to know that they have a friend here. Because when they listen to the dirty liars at BBC, they think that we are in the West here against the Palestinians. We have nothing to do with the Palestinians. That's just false. So I want to thank you very much for coming today.
Hi, Wafa.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Okay, can I start right now?
Yeah. Is that your dad next to you?
Sorry?
Oh. What's his name? Okay. Oh, you can start now, Wafa.
Okay, firstly, let me thank you, Rita and Sammy, Catherine, everyone. We appreciate your efforts for Palestine. Really, we are honored to have such people like you who support our fair cause. Firstly, I'm Wafal Abdini. I live in the Gaza Strip, which has been under siege since 2006, as we have, shortage in everything in our basic needs, fuel, goods, and everything. I work as an activist and journalist. I have a youth group which is called 16th October Group. This youth group aims at presenting the Palestinian issues, which is the Israelis trying to distort our image in the West. Firstly, let me just apologize for what had happened, as the connection here is so bad, and because there is no electricity right now, so I can hardly, sign in via Skype. So pardon me again. Here I have one of the men who his parents actually he was a little kid when Deir Yassin had happened. So his grandparents was forced to leave their country or their town to other town, as you know, as the stories they have here are so hard. About the number of the victim in Deir Yassin, I mean. It is disputed, as most sources put the number of martyrs at 254, including 25 pregnant women who were violated, and 52 children who were maimed in front of their mothers before being beheaded and the mothers slain. The massacre of Palestinians at Deir Yassin is one of the most significant events in the 20th century. Israeli history. This is not because of its size or its brutality, but because it stands as the starkest early warning of a calculated liberation of over 400 Arab villages and cities, and the exclusion of over 700,000 Palestinian inhabitants to make room for survivors of the Holocaust and other Jews from the rest of the world. Now, here is our witness. He is going to talk about Deir Yassin and how his grandparents or his parents themselves told him about the massacre there. Let me introduce Ali Abdrabbo. He is going to talk about a little bit about Deir Yassin.
Can we increase the volume at all?
That's the loudest.
More seats in the front.
Okay, yeah.
دير ياسين قرية صغيرة بالقرب من غرب رام الله، غرب القدس. أيام السابقة 1948 الصهاينة عصابة شتيرن وعصابة الهجمات أعدوا هجوم لأهل القرية، على الرغم أنها يعني كانت عاملة معهم سلام حياد، يعني ما يضربوهم ولا اليهود يجوا عليهم. استمر.
He is talking about when the Zionist gangs invaded in the town. He was talking about that Deir Yassin was located in the west of Jerusalem, and it was a small town.
القرية الصغيرة هذه كانت عند مع الصهاينة سلام حياد، يعني ما يضربوا ولا يضربوا ما حدش يضرب من طرفين.
Okay. Deir Yassin was, a peaceful town, a peaceful village, and there was a deal there in that time not to attack anybody from Deir Yassin as this peaceful deal.
وفي فجر يوم في ابريل 1948 قامت العصابات الصهيونية بهجوم وغدروا بأهل القرية الصغيرة ودخلوها معهم مصفحة ومعهم عصابة شتيرن والهجنة. فبدأوا في الناس، والناس كان في بعض مع بعض منهم أسلحة، قتلوا منهم 4 يهود وجرحوا حوالي 14. فاليهود الصهيونية انجنوا فقاموا بطلب مدد من الجيش من العصابات الصهيونية الهستيرين والهجنة.
At the dawn in 1948, the Zionist gangs invaded Deir Yassin, and they had blockaded the main access road connecting to Deir Yassin with Jerusalem, placing Deir Yassin under an almost total blockade to protect the village from attack from attack.
بعدين العصابات الصهيونية قتلوا تقريبا ما يعني زيادة عن 400 نفر من الناس، وكانوا هم عشان زعزعة الروح المعنوية عندهم كانوا يعصبوهم يعصب عيونهم وياخذهم في عربيات وفروا في القرى تسكن اليهود الصهاينة، وكانوا يعني معصوبين الأعين وعشان يرفع الروح المعنوية تبع الشعب. بعد هذا الكلام مسكوهم بالطفلون كلها.
They take all the men in the village and they line them up on the wall, and they make them to walk through the streets in order to humiliate them, to let the whole people fear those gangs. I mean, the Zionist gangs.
بعدين في أثناء اليوم المشهور هذا اللي هو يوم دير ياسين، هذا اللي هو الشؤم بأكملها عن 48 كامل، قاموا بقتل بعض الناس، قطع رؤوس قطع نهائي الرأس عشان جو الجثة عشان، وبعدين قاموا باغتصاب فتاة أمام أهلها.
About the stories there, which his grandparents told him, they told him that they saw the bodies of the people there scattered. You know, the head is far away from the rest of the body. So one of them, he went to Deir Yassin. He went to visit somebody there, but unfortunately, his faith, was to be killed in a brutal way by the Zionist gang. His head was, just separated of the rest of his body. The other story, there was a little girl, and she was raped in front of her family, and you know how it is so, so brutal.
طبعا كان في كمان بعض من الجيش اللي هم عصابة الهجناء كانوا يعني يتراهنوا على المرأة الحامل وهل يوجد بها أنثى أم ذكر، ويقوموا بإخراج الجنين من بطن أمه، يعني ينظروا هو ذكر أم أنثى، ويقوم بقتل الأم وقتل الطفل.
Another story, actually, the Zionist gangs, were bayoneted women as pregnant women exactly, and they see there is in her womb if there is a boy or a girl, and after they do this action, they kill both. The little baby and his mother. They kill both of them. Yes.
هذا العمل اللي عملوه في دير ياسين، المذبحة لا تنسى من الطفل ولا تنسى من المرأة ولا تنسى من الرجل الكبير ولا تنسى محفورة في مخ الفلسطينيين. وبعدين هذا سبب رعب لكل أهل القرى المجاورة لدير ياسين، بل حتى لكل القرى الفلسطينية، فهرع الناس من الخوف ومن الإرهاب الصهيوني إلى الدول المجاورة.
They said, the Zionists said that the elderly will die and the little kid will forget everything. But here is this man here, he said that we will never ever forget this massacre, and we will teach our kids, our children, not to forget what had happened to their families, to the Palestinians in Deir Yassin. Yes.
وحتى لو ترى يد دير ياسين في هذه ذلك الأيام وكأن زلزال قام فيها، جرفت على رؤوس صاحبيه على سكانها، يعني كان الدمار شامل، وكانت الروعة يعني صعبة جدا على كل أهل فلسطين وأغلب الناس القرى المجاورة، وحتى كل فلسطين هاجروا إلى الدول المجاورة طلبا من النجاة.
Yes. What had happened in Deir Yassin, actually, it is like earthquake for the Palestinians, or the other town. So they fear what had happened in Deir Yassin from them as well. So they was forced to leave their towns because they fear that what had happened in Deir Yassin will happen to their women, to their children, and to their men. Yes.
وأخيرا كان اليوم يوم فظيع ولا ينسى، ونحن الشعب الفلسطيني نحيي هذه الذكرى كل سنة بشؤم يعني بحزن وروعة من هذا اليوم الذي رأوه أهلنا وأجدادنا.
Yes. At the end of his speech, he said that we will never forget this event, and we will let the whole world. We will tell the whole world that the Zionists kill in cold blood the people, and inshallah we will get back to our lands there. One more thing, he thanks you so much for making this event, and he is so happy that he sees like that people support his fair issue, and you are not affected by the Western media, which aims to distort the Palestinian issue's image. Yes.
Okay.
Here there is something actually.
Thank you, Wafa.
Wafa?
Yes, if you have any question for him, you can ask.
First of all, thank you so much for, you probably had so many flashbacks at the moment. Just remember what happened at that time. It must have been very painful for him to remember, and it's very shocking for us to, to hear that. We're gonna think some people want to sing. The choir, Biladi wanted to sing Biladi song, and I don't know, has anyone got any question? Yeah, sing then. You can stay and you can hear the sing, yeah?
Yes, okay.
Do you want to come?
Biladi, 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 Laki Rubi wa Fuadi. Biladi, 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 Laki Rubi wa Fuadi. Yafulu al-Alimi, El-Ami Matamali. Yafulu al-Alimi, El-Ami Matamali. Nakusha Namjali, Fijali Litahati. Biladi, 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 Laki Rubi wa Fuadi. Nahnu nawana sabil, Ilahi al-Mustahil. Nahnu nawana sabil, Ilahi al-Mustahil. Maimana Sharif, Nazalahu Rayulati. Biladi, 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 Laki Rubi wa Fuadi. Jabini ya Tafira, Antiru
Any question?
Rita.
Done a minute.
What? Sorry? Sorry?
It's a woman.
Please repeat the question.
What's going on in your country?
You mean about the siege on the Gaza Strip?
Yeah.
Or Palestine as well?
Yes.
Palestine, okay. You all know that the Israelis, occupied Palestine in 1948, and they committed so many crimes according to international humanitarian international organization, which blame Israel for committing so many crimes against Palestinians. About the Gaza Strip, the people here has been under siege since 2006. It is like a big open prison. Gaza, nothing can get in or get out from the Gaza Strip. All the borders, or the three borders, are closed. We have commercial borders, crossing borders, and we have borders only for people. But all of them are closed. The other thing is when they imposed the siege of the Gaza Strip in 2006, actually we the people here, we have to live. So we depend on the tunnels to bring our basic needs, our goods, to live. But now all the tunnels are destroyed, so we barely can breathe. The circumstances right now is so bad. Is the worst ever since 1948. About Jerusalem, the Israelis, started to Judaize the city, to change it into a Jewish state. They want to remove anything belongs to the Palestinians. In the West Bank, nobody can hear what is going on there. The people there are a lot of checkpoints. These checkpoints, not everyone is allowed to get in or get out. But if there is permission from the Israelis, if he is, what else? About for example, the lands there, the farmers there in the West Bank. There are lots of lands, lots of trees. Every day there is uprooted for those trees. They want to uproot everything belongs to the Palestinians, and you can see that clearly that every day there is attack to the peaceful Palestinians. And in the West Bank there is no resistance at all. But the only one who attack the others is are the Israelis. Every day they attack Palestinians, whether they kill them or jail them or raised their lands or uprooted their trees or humiliate the people in the checkpoints. And there is something, we call it a apartheid wall. This is the most careful thing, as the people, most of the people lost their job and lost their friends, and they can't see each other, as this wall prevented the people from many things. So the circumstances there, you can imagine, when I say occupation, you can imagine when somebody occupied the other, and you can imagine what will happen to the other one who got occupied.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Wafa.
Thank you, Wafa. Yes, over.
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to ask your opinion. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, go on. Go on, please.
I'd like to ask your opinion of this recent theory that compares Zionism to a mental disorder. Do you know about this?
Come down in a minute, yeah.
Could you repeat that again? I can't hear your voice clearly.
Where is the microphone? Is that clearer? Some people are now saying that Zionism can be compared to a mental disorder, and I'd like to just quickly tell you why I think it is a mental disorder. A good friend of mine is a psychiatrist, and he was recently in a big mental hospital in Holland, and the chief of the mental hospital said, "I can't help these people anymore. It is society that is crazy. Militarism, consumerism, materialism, that is why these people are ill. We can only alleviate the symptoms." And he said to me, he said we to prevent ourselves being sucked into materialism and consumerism, we must maintain a focus. And I said, well, one of the things I do to maintain a focus and prevent myself being sucked into all of this is to work at the Palestine Museum. He said, there's a good example, he said, there have been conflicts going on for centuries, but most conflicts get sorted out in the short term. And when a conflict continues for a very long time, like your conflict, there's something seriously wrong. And it's a form of madness. Zionism can be compared to a mental disorder. And to back this theory up, I'd like to tell the story of a checkpoint. And there's two young Israeli soldiers. It's a story, it's in a novel, but it illustrates the Israeli, the problem. These two young soldiers, 19 years old, have got nothing to do. They're on a lonely checkpoint, and all they can do is sit and look at the clouds. And they see the blue sky above the clouds, but gradually the clouds come in. And this young soldier says, it's like the clouds are coming in like the lid of a coffin. It's as though they are living inside their own coffin. That is why I think Zionism can be compared to a mental disorder.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
What is your opinion?
احنا مبسوطين جدا بالناس اللي يحسوا بينا ويشعروا بينا هم في اخر الله يعيننا على الطيب.
Here is Mr. Ali. He is saying something. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Firstly, he is so happy to have such events like this. The other thing, he said that why he asked you to come to visit Gaza and to see to break the siege on the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, we do have someone who tried to come to Gaza. He's in the back over there. He doesn't want to come up. Come here, Shakir. Come on, tell us the last time you tried to get into Gaza.
Talk to the camera. Over there.
Camera's there. No, Shakir doesn't like to talk in public, but you have to do it this time.
Tell him what you think you had. Mama, yeah?
Thank you, Shakir. Just, tell us.
Salam alaikum, Ali.
Thank you very much.
Last time I was trying to come to Gaza, we stopped at the Egyptian border, put the guns on us, and they told us to go back. So we couldn't come to Gaza. We was coming with 9 vehicles, 10 vehicles in the end. And,
That's so sad.
yes, so we had to return back, and we had some other things happened in Libya, but we managed to come back in one piece. And we was in the Marmara with this gentleman here, and so you know what happened. They tried to kill us, and there we are. Once more, we made it back.
Yes, we really appreciate your efforts. You know, it's something that is so painful to remember such Madi Marmara, or to remember that the Egyptian the Egyptians prevent the people who come to help us, or the people who come to bring the goods and the basic needs for the civilians in the Gaza Strip. And really, again, we thank you so much for your effort, and others so much.
Thank you for speaking.
Hi, Wafa. Before we are going to continue the ceremony, and part of